for a long time, I've left my home. So my father and my mother don't know where about me. So I do go to Meduguri, Kano. I was driving in Sapla Garage. From there, my father bought 504 for me.
It was December 3rd, 1986. A 10-man crack team from the police mobile force zeroed in on the target at number 26 Oyemosa Street opposite Iguadala Primary School in Benin City. This target was the ever-elusive armed robber, a chain-smoking womanizer with a courage foiled by alcohol. He had terrorized Bendel State for months. He was known by different names. Some called him the Law, others called him Ovibo, but his name is Lawrence Anini. Yet, as quickly as his legend ballooned, it crumbled under the weight of a determined manhunt, a high-stakes trial, and a public execution that served as a stark warning to would-be outlaws. Welcome to this edition of Hispul Media. My name is Gabriel Adidia. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and share on social media. To understand this figure, we must go all the way back to where it started. Anini's early life offered no clues to the violence he would later unleash. His story is a chilling chronicle of violence, betrayal, and swift justice in a nation that is still suffering from insecurity to this day, though in a completely different form. Born in about 1960 in the quiet town of Orogbo in Orion 1 local government area, some 100 kilometers from Benin City, Anini rose from a humble background to command a criminal gang that paralyzed Bendel State, now Edo and Delta State, in the mid-1980s. He was the second child and only son of his mother. He lost his father in 1980 and grew up in the busy motor parks of Benin City after he had relocated there with the goal of becoming a professional driver. He refined his abilities behind the wheel as a taxi driver and established a reputation for resolving disputes with an authoritative word that gave him the nickname, the Law. As you will see shortly, this title eventually became an irony. Anini began his criminal career in the shadows of the transportation hubs. Initially a driver for established outlaws, he absorbed their tactics, mastered high-speed escapes, and eventually assembled his own team. His gang included hardened operatives like Monde Osumbo, his trusted second-in-command, along with figures such as Solomon Osenweke, John Bull Ahuwan, Moses Idahosa, Philip Iwebelua, Bernard Obi, and Friday Ukpongwan. But the complicity in his crimes ran deeper than the public and even the government expected, with a corrupt police officer also fingered. Deputy Superintendent of Police DSP George Iyamo allegedly supplied the group with intelligence, weapons, and safe passage. This eventually highlighted the rot within the law enforcement agencies that emboldened Anini's operations. Transitioning from these shadowy alliances, Anini's criminal empire exploded into full view by the mid-1980s. What started as a car hijacking and bus robberies soon escalated into meticulously planned assaults on banks and civilians across Bendel State and beyond. He once boasted of controlling 3 states, Ondo, Anambra, and Bendel State, treating them as his personal fiefdom. His gang specialized in lightning raids, smashing into financial institutions, emptying vaults, and vanishing before sirens whirled. But Anini wasn't content with mere theft. His crimes carried a theatrical flair that both terrified and mesmerized. According to contemporary accounts, Anini killed at will, raped, kidnapped, and left a trail of 20 bodies, including 11 policemen and 9 civilians. Personal vendetta foiled some of the bloodshed as Anini accused the police of killing his father, a brother in Ibadan, and a friend, the Benin prince, Kingsley Weka. He once declared in pidgin English, "I did not kill police. My own is to do my own." I am a driver. I drive. Meanwhile, the climax of his notoriety came in 1986. In August of that same year, Anini and his gang raided the First Bank branch in Sabongidaore, Bendel State, making off with about $2,000. This amount is worth about 2.8 million naira at today's current exchange rate. The amount was modest by today's standards, but sent shockwaves through a cash-strapped nation. Meanwhile, October proved even bloodier and bolder. On October 21st, 1986, the gang struck the Agbo branch of the African Continental Bank, cutting away with about 46,000 naira in new notes. In a Robin Hood-like spectacle that cemented his folk hero status among some desperate locals, Anini later cruised into a nearby market and sprayed wads of the stolen cash from his getaway car, inviting market women and passerbys to scramble for the bounty. That same month, the gang gunned down a Benin-based medical doctor, Dr. A.O. Omojeve, along Texas Mill Road in what appeared to be a targeted assassination. Anini's audacity knew few bounds. He wrote taunting letters to victims and authorities alike, adopting a pseudo-political tone laced with grievances. In one letter to the manager of New Nigerian Bank, Ring Road branch in August 1986, he demanded 10,000 naira to be set aside for him. He signed off the letter with flair, as he claimed to have written the letter from number 1 million Anywhere Street within the city, Benin, Bendel State. Meanwhile, due to lack of trust for the police, the bank forwarded the note to the Upper of Benin instead. He even addressed a letter to the military head of state, General Ibrahim Babagida, complaining about economic woes and outlining 6 conditions for peace. Some of these conditions included no prosecution of innocent armed robbers, an end to police collusion with transport unions and courts, a fair treatment for market women, among others. The letter was published in Newswatch magazine on October 27, 1986. The demands painted him as a self-styled crusader against systemic injustice, further inflaming public fascination. Now, if I may ask a comment of my own, I would say, if it was in today's Nigeria, Anini would have become a loved politician. However, beneath the audacity lay brutality. Anini's gang attacked police convoys, assassinated officers in cold blood, and turned the street of Benin City into a war zone. By late 1986, the police force was reeling. 9 officers already dead in clashes between Anini and his former protectors. The public lived in fear. Markets emptied at dusk, and whispers of "where is Anini" became a national punchline used to mock police incompetence. The head of state, Babangida himself, publicly challenged the Inspector General of Police, Etimeyan, demanding "where is Anini" and asking that the bandit must be captured. At the same time, Anini's lifestyle amplified the myth. He was a chain-smoking womanizer who loved fine clothes, fast cars, and a courage fueled by alcohol. He spent lavishly and fathered at least 2 children with his wife Ugo while maintaining other relationships. However, even legends must face consequences. As the body count mounted and national embarrassment reached its peak, authorities launched an all-out manhunt. The turning point therefore came on December 3, 1986, when a 10-man crack police team led by Superintendent of Police Kayode Omonaroro from the police mobile force zeroed in on a tip-off. They stormed number 26 Oyemwosa Street opposite Iguadala Primary School in Benin City. Some accounts placed the hideout between 2nd and 3rd East Circular Road in the same vicinity. Here, Anini was having a good time with a number of women, including a lover who might have been complicit in his betrayal. When officers demanded his whereabouts, the once dreaded kingpin reportedly quipped that Anini is under the bed in the inner room before attempting to slip away. As Anini tried to escape, the police fired gunshots that shattered his left ankle. It is alleged that other gunshots were fired at the same leg. Then, Anini allegedly confessed as he collapsed towards the floor and said, "My brother, I won't deceive you. I won't tell you lie. I am Anini." A 16-year-old schoolgirl, Florence Akarogi, was caught in the crossfire and wounded in the thigh. Anini was rushed first to police headquarters and then to military hospital for medical attention. Yet, his leg developed complications leading to amputation. Wheelchair-bound and humbled, the invincible Law was now a shadow of his former self. The arrest of the notorious armed robber sent ripples of relief across Bendel State and its environs. Newspapers splashed the story on their front pages. On December 5, 1986, The Guardian Nigeria hailed his arrest as the end of a nightmare. This Week magazine ran photos of the injured bandit with the headline, "Anini face to face with the law." Meanwhile, public debate over police conduct swelled. In an editorial in The Guardian, the police force was criticized for excessive brutality in shooting him multiple times and delaying medical care. The editorial piece argued that even a notoriously bad man deserved reasonable force. Yet, the capture of Anini was a remarkable victory. It exposed not just Anini, but the web of collusion that had shielded him, including the eventual conviction of Deputy Superintendent of Police George Iyamo. From the hospital bed to the courtroom, Anini's fall accelerated under the weight of military justice. The Nigerian head of state, General Ibrahim Babagida, eager to restore faith in law and order, ordered a speedy trial. Anini and his key accomplices, including Monday Osumbo, faced the first Benin robbery and firearms tribunal, chaired by Justice James Omoagege. The tribunal proceedings were swift and public and drew massive crowds and media scrutiny. The once feared armed robber was confined to a wheelchair, but his testimony exposed the operations of the gang and implicated corrupt police officers. Charged with multiple counts of armed robbery, murder, and illegal possession of firearms, Anini offered little defense against the mountain of evidence against him. In February 1987, after an 80-minute delivery of a 33-page judgment, Justice Omoagege pronounced the verdict with solemn gravity. Anini will forever be remembered in the history of crime in this country, but it will be of unblessed memory, he said. Death sentences were handed down to Anini, Osumbo, and others. Some gang members and Iyamo had already faced execution earlier in the process. The tribunal's efficiency and speed reflected the era's zero-tolerance stance on armed robbery under the regime, where such tribunals bypassed lengthy civilian appeals. As spring arrived in 1987, his final chapter unfolded with grim finality. On March 29, 1987, exactly as the military authorities had scheduled, Lawrence Anini and Monday Osumbo were led to the execution ground at Ogba River Valley, Asoro, off Ekenwa Road in Benin City, Bendel State. Unlike any market crowd he had seen before, thousands gathered under the open sky to witness the death of a man who had terrorized the entire region for years. Meanwhile, Anini had reportedly predicted his own end in one of the busy markets in Benin. Rather, this public display at the valley served as a deterrent, and it was televised locally to reach a larger audience. However, just before the firing squad went to work, Anini pleaded for divine forgiveness and took responsibility for his crimes. In a matter of seconds, the crack of gunfire put an end to the rule of the law in Benin. His body sank motionless alongside Osumbo's, signifying the end of a criminal era that had exposed Nigeria's security weaknesses. The execution served as a form of atonement for a traumatized populace. Reports from the Associated Press captured the scene vividly when they wrote, "Thousands of people from all walks in Bendel State today watched the public execution of the notorious armed robbers Lawrence Anini and Monday Osumbo in Benin City." Families of victims found closure while the police force, scarred by internal rot, began reforms. But the stigma lingers with his family. Anini's children later spoke of the enduring stigma, and the mother's arrest and torture in 1985 revealed the side effects of his actions. In retrospect, Lawrence Anini's story remains a gripping cautionary tale from Nigeria's troubled 1980s, a period when one man's ruthlessness could challenge the state itself. His actions, albeit horrific in nature, revealed systemic flaws such as crook policing, economic desperation, and the appeal of outlaw glamour. From Benin's dusty motor parks to the bloodied streets, and finally the execution valley, history reminds us of the biblical declaration, "He who lives by the sword dies by the sword." He rests in unblessed memory, as is foretold by Justice Omoagege. So, what do you think about Anini's story? Let me know in the comment section. For other intriguing stories on Hispo Media, please click here, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.